Hey, it's Icarice, and I'm here to tell you about Hotcast for Podcasting. We are a podcasting studio located in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Hot 702.5 FM studios. You can book online at hot7025fm.com. Just click on Hotcast. You can book and find your times right there. Thank you for booking with Hotcast for Podcasting.
Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
It's your main man, 360 the Poet from the Morning Wood. And are you looking for the perfect drink? Well, you found it. Mimosa Royale is the perfect combination of California sparkling white wine and natural juice that is both tasty and refreshing. No artificial colors or flavors, no sugar added, and it's gluten-free. As the world's first ready-to-drink mimosa, Mimosa Royale is perfect for any occasion, day or night. You no longer have to drink 12 of those seltzers just to get that perfect buzz. At 8% alcohol, Mimosa Royale is the perfect drink to party with. Offered in a variety of flavors and sizes, you are bound to find a Mimosa Royale that you'll love. We have berry, mango, apple, and orange, with more flavors to come. Mimosa Royale is the most award-winning flavored wine that serves in bottles or cans. You can find them online at drinkmimosa.com or find them at your local liquor store. Ask for it by name. Mimosa Royale.
Mimosa Royale. That's like in Pulp Fiction. Remember, he said, you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese over in France? A Royale with cheese. And that's what made me think about Mimosa Royale. What's up, y'all? What's happening? It's hump day, baby. You know what it is. It's time to holler at the homie. It's 3 o'clock my time, so that means it's 5 o'clock somewhere in the Midwest, 6 o'clock somewhere out there on the East Coast. What's going on, DJ Everclear? Good to have you in the building. Appreciate you. Salute as always. Anybody who tunes in and taps in with the homie. We right here at the #1 advice column, online or in person live. You know, if you want to come sit up in the studio, we can make that happen. If you got something to talk about, we can make something happen along those lines. But if you coming up here, you coming to see me, you coming to see what I got to say, I appreciate you. And anytime that you come on here, I got to give you a little bit of the game, and that's what I'm here for. I always give a disclaimer, let it be known that I've never been to school for counseling. I've never been to school for psychology or psychiatry. But what I have done, what's up, Lucy Lowe? What I have done is I've lived a life, and it's been colorful. And vicariously through other people, I've been able to soak up a little bit more game within the game. So, that's what I try to do, make sure at all times that I'm tuned in the ways I need to be tuned in life. What up, City Ballers? What up with you, D? Good to see you, Pimpin'. Glad to have you on here. Inglewood stand up. Excuse me. Well, he L.A., though. I forgot he out there, L.A. But, we still SoCal doing it our big-time styles. But, yeah, man, we out here, man, in the desert right now, man. It's this bipolar-ass weather out here in Vegas. 1 minute it's hot and your skin about to melt off. Next minute, the wind blowing and it got cool on you. So I'm just glad it's not those, what's up, McFadden? Good to have you in here. I'm just glad to see that, it's not the hot winds right now, because that's when you feel like you sitting in a dryer or somebody blowing a blow dryer in your face at like 30 miles an hour. So I'm glad we haven't gotten there yet. But anyway, we always do. We tune in and we tap in. We dive into the issues of people who write us in. And anytime you want to send us an email, send us at holla@thehomie@gmail.com or hot7025fm.com. And in the subject line, put holla at the homie. But on holla@thehomie@gmail.com, just put your subject. Put your name, whatever you need to do. Put it in there. We'll make it happen. But if you want me to know that you tuned in, then include your handles. Make sure I know what your Instagram, your Facebook handle is, just in case I see you pop up while we out here doing this thing. What's up, Prolific? What's up, my girl? We got to get together and do some poetry. I was thinking about you and a couple of other poets that's out here in the desert the other day. And I want to get together and get a poetry cipher with some people because, it's much needed. With all this beef that's going on in rap right now, I need some ciphering. You know what I mean? I need somebody that's coming together and saying, what's up? Even though we can do some slam poetry, but we ain't slamming each other. We just getting it in, just speaking our minds through lyrical assassinations, So So that's what we do. But again, I always tell people when you come on here, I'm never telling people what to do. I just give you options. You're not in Vegas no more? Okay, well, that's all right. We always do it online. Don't even trip. Don't even trip, ProLib. Don't even trip. But you know what I mean? So, like, I'm never telling people what to do. I'm just giving people the options of what can be done based off the information that y'all send me. You write me this letter, and you send me information. And based off said information, I kind of dissect it and give you a few options. Because, again, like between myself and the peanut gallery that comes on here and checks us out, we get some good advice to the people. I think we always been on here giving some people some good advice on how to kind of manage their thoughts. Because sometimes we all just need somebody else to talk to, somebody else to bounce it off of, somebody else that may understand from a perspective that we are coming from, and I try to offer that. And my listeners and viewers, I believe that it's an eclectic group of people. So I believe that it's going to be pretty well-rounded. And since my name is 360, I got to try to touch every little bit of that circle as much as I can. So let's dive into it. Today's letter comes in. It says, "Dear Holla at the Homie, I find myself in a bit of a quandary, and I hope you can offer some sage advice. You see, my husband and I have hit a bit of a snag in our relationship. While he believes that as long as he is providing me with satisfying sex, all is well in our marriage, I find myself yearning for something more. Now, don't get me wrong. Intimacy is important, but it's not the sole measure of satisfaction for me. How can I communicate this to him without hurting his feelings or causing conflict?" What's going on, Mika Gone with the Wind? Good to have you. But, yeah, that's a good, sincerely seeking satisfaction. So sincerely seeking satisfaction, that's a hell of a question. That's a good question because you, in this instance, one thing I know you dealing with, what's going on, Squat? One thing I know you dealing with is a very sensitive thing, and that's called the male ego. The male ego is like a fragile Fabergé egg. Like, ooh, it looks so bravado-ish and boastful and gorgeous on the outside. But, man, listen, one mishandling of that male ego, ooh, and it's going to shatter. It's going to shatter. We delicate when it comes to that ego. But you know what I say? You know what 360 says about the word ego, right? Ego just to me means eliminating your greatest outcome. So when you lead with your ego, you're eliminating your greatest outcome. So if you go into this conversation with this man, your husband, so apparently he said, you said in the letter, he feels as long as he's providing me with satisfying sex. So he must be giving you decent to good vitamin D at the crib. So that's been established. So it ain't like he lacking in that department. And that's why you saying that that's not all that's there, because you saying he feels that as long as he's providing me with satisfying sex. I underlined that on my little thing over here. I tell you, I got it all underlined, highlighted, and all kind of stuff. But you said as long as he provides you with satisfying sex, he feels that all is well in y'all marriage. What you say? The male ego needs a whole show in itself. True that. True that. I need to write me some. Ask me a question about the male ego, and I'll get you a whole show about it because it's something. It's something, boy. It take a while you got to kind of step outside yourself as a man and see what that ego is, or look and evaluate some of your other friends objectively and how their ego may be doing something to them, and it's based off that the male ego alone, not astrology or anything like that. Then you get a chance to see exactly how delicate and sensitive that male ego is. So we can break that down. We can talk about that one on another show too. I'm always with that. So like this woman is saying that her husband's giving her satisfying sex, and he thinks that as long as he's doing that, so apparently the other things at home must be doing well. He must be making sure things are taken care of, provided, and she feels protected, things of that nature. But maybe not. I don't know, because he feels that that's all he has to do. But she leaves her yearning for something more. Now that gets a little confusing and conflictive sometimes to me, because I don't know what that yearning for something more really means. Like, are you yearning for more sexually? But what it says is because you just want other things. Don't get me wrong, intimacy is important, but it's not the sole measure of the relationship. So things are good in the bedroom. What's up, Dakarai? Things are good in the bedroom. Things must be decent to good at home elsewhere, but there's something lacking for this writer, because she says that she wants to be able to communicate that to him without hurting his feelings or without causing conflict. Now, like I said before in the beginning, when you're dealing with the male ego, feelings are what it's wrapped in. We say we don't have feelings, and we say that, oh, nothing bothers us, but that's the main reason things bother us. What'd you say, Mickey? You say, how can she be having satisfying sex when her other needs aren't being met? She's like, you got the little face emoji. And you know what? Sometimes people are able to separate the sex in the moment. You know, I believe some men and women are able to do this. Separate sex in the moment from whatever else is on the outside. If sex is used as sort of like a conduit to take you away. You know what I mean? To take you away. You know, and so like if you're using that as a conduit to take you away, if everything else isn't being met and that's taking you away from those things, so if you fully embody that moment, then you allow yourself to receive all the pleasure that you're wanting and willing to have. You know, that's kind of like how I could relate that to like drunken sex. Because when you drunken sex, you're really not associated with anything else other than the moment. So like you drunk in the moment, even when you got other things on the outside that are messing with your head. That was a pretty good evaluation, I think. So if I say myself. So that's how I think how she can do both. How she can simultaneously have satisfying sex and her other needs aren't being met. What I'm thinking about, though, is how to tell this man. You know what I mean? That's a really big question, you know, because especially if he feels as if that's all he needs to do to make sure home is taken care of. You say, take a ride to Pleasure Town. I mean, I get it. She must she's still taking them ride. What'd you say, Miss Gone with the Wind? She said, my sexual desires are attached to my emotional state, and I don't do drunken sex for that reason. Now, I get it. Hey, you know, some people abstain from some type of sex. Some people don't do anal. Some people don't do drunken. Some people don't do same sex. It's just all kind of abstinences when it comes to sex on things that you don't do. Understandable. You know, but in her instance, she's still getting that good vitamin D, according to her letter. But it's just other things in the marriage that just aren't getting. What's up, Buckatani? There's just some things in the marriage that just ain't getting it. What's up, Phenomenal? You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes when you're looking at situations like that, you got to try to break them down, right? So, you know, I want to thank you, first of all, Seeking Satisfaction, for sharing your story. I appreciate you. And this person did give me their information, so I did see them tap in on over here on Facebook. So thank you. I appreciate you. I see you over here. But I appreciate you and thank you for giving us a chance to try to answer this for you, right? Like, first and foremost, you're not alone in this feeling. You're not the only person who feels like this. It's perfectly normal for people to want like a deeper connection beyond the physical intimacy, right? Especially when in a relationship. Now, if it's a situationship, then maybe one person has a heart in it and the other one may not. But in a relationship to where y'all kind of both invested in it, then this means that you, like other people, have these same thoughts, is what I'm trying to get to. So how do you communicate this to your husband to let him know that he's not the only one that thinks that sex is all he needs at the crib? You know, he may even be talking about it in his male and guy circle, because it may be one of those instances you are the 5 people you are around the most in that particular category, or the 5 people you talk to the most about sex are the people that you emulate your sexual activities and prowesses similar to or in response to. You say you always recommend honesty. If you can't honestly express yourself, and what kind of relationship are you really have? Exactly. And that's one of my first points, right? You know, communication is key. You got to be able to sit down with your husband and really, like Miss Gone with the Wind Fabulous said, you got to be able to confront this in a calm and peaceful manner, away from anybody else. Because again, you're dealing with that male ego I talked about earlier, right? But then you got to be honest about it. Anytime I say about communication, what's up, Pick This 702? Anytime I say anytime about communication, it's got to be open and honest. Because if you're not given all the information, you can't expect to receive all that you want to get back from the conversation. If you're not given the information, you're not going to get the whole conversation. You know, write that down as a 360ism. What's going on, Copper? You know what I mean? So, like, if you're not talking about everything to your person, to your husband, then you're not really going to get all that he has to offer back from it to tell you how he feels about the situation. So the open honesty is number one. But, like, you know, in a relationship, that you want certain things that are aspects that allow the relationship to nurture as well, right? And that's what you're trying to exactly. Open and honest is the way to go. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to not only physically build this relationship, but you want it to nurture. And that's what you want to get across to your husband. So, you know, let it be known that there's other things that you're looking for, like emotional connection. Like, you know, it took a while for me to understand what that meant totally. Even though I grew up around all women, right? Pretty much all women. A couple guy cousins, but they wasn't really around like that. My daddy died when I was little, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? You know, little violin. But even though I grew up around a whole lot of women, I still didn't understand in its totality what an emotional connection consisted of. Meaning, like, how do I allow this? Because I put something on my story the other day from Kev on Stage, and it was talking about how he's able to now dissect when his wife has an attitude that he doesn't have to take that same thing on. So that's part of an emotional connection. How do I, what's up, Sass 62233? Like, how do I connect with my person emotionally? Meaning, like, do I know how they get in certain situations? If they're feeling attacked, do I know how they get in certain situations if they feel like they're not being given all the information? You know what I mean? So that's what you got to kind of like look at, your emotional connection. Are y'all in a space? Are you yearning for that? Tell him that you're looking for that. If that's something that's missing, seeking satisfaction. Because if you're getting good vitamin D and there's still some other stuff that's missing, the connection isn't about the physicality. It's about the emotions, the energy that y'all exchange with one another, right? You know, so outside of that, what about quality time together? Does that weigh a difference? Would you say over here, Royal Nelson? I think we have to be careful in thinking we can find all the things in an individual. Just as we expect our significant other to understand our shortcomings and deal with us in love and in patience, we must reciprocate that love and patience in dealing with their shortcomings. None of us have it all. Ooh. That's a very excellent perspective to take on that. I appreciate that, Brother Nelson. So Brother Nelson, Royal Nelson over here on my Facebook side of the page says that, you know, maybe this is one of those situations where one of the shortcomings is his way to express his give you satisfaction other than just giving good vitamin D. And in those connections, for better or for worse, you know, in situations like this, you say it at the altar. So, and for better or for worse, so he giving you better vitamin D than somebody else who may have given you better attention. So Mr. Nelson is saying maybe these are one of the things where we kind of compromise a little bit. You know, deal with it in love and in patience and reciprocate that love and patience to one another. That's an excellent take on that, Brother Nelson. I like that take on that. You know, that's one perspective to look at it. Instead of taking it head on and trying to figure out how you can get more out of your husband, you got what you got, and how do you manage the rest of it? How do you get that balance? Exactly. He says over here also, maybe he's a great provider and a spiritual leader, but coming up short. You know, but the thing about it is, like, his sex game is on point. So maybe he's not the provider or the spiritual leader. Maybe those are the things that seeking satisfaction. See, I'm glad. I like when I listen to my other listeners and viewers because they give me other things to ping off of, right? Meaning, like, maybe this is something else other than that emotional connection. Maybe that is something you are looking for within him, some form of different type of leadership or some form of different form of protection that he may not be providing. Like, I've been victim of, I ain't gonna say victim, but I've been, I've subjected my wife to be victim of feeling unprotected in certain situations before, but not like bang, bang, shoot 'em up where she don't think I could protect her, but I may have left her uncovered in a place where she felt vulnerable. So maybe seeking satisfaction, you looking for the covering in your vulnerable areas, and that's not what he's providing. So maybe this is part of the conversation you can offer to him. Are your vulnerable moments all being covered? Another thing Brother Nelson over said maybe he's a great leader. Maybe you're looking for that. Maybe he sits back enough to say, babe, we'll figure it out together, but you want him to be more take it by the reins, and that's showing, and that's satisfying you in some way. What's that you say, Michonne T. Daniels? I wish I had absences. I wish I had with my current wife, because my multiple 25 prior year relationship, I had almost destroyed my 28 plus year marriage. The 25 plus older women and extreme sexual oddity I experienced, the emotional relationship I had created and developed, not allowing by it, but the measurements of the previous sexy experience. So what you're saying is, you said you wish you would have abstained. That's a question for me. Clear it up for me, Brother Daniels, one time, so I can make sure I'm evaluating what you're saying proper, okay? I want to make sure I give you your just due, because I appreciate you tuning in, typing in, and chiming in, right? What's going on, Miss 1002? You know what I mean? So it's like, so these are some of the things you got to kind of look at. Like, what are the other instances where, if you're not going to take the what Brother Nelson said over here, if you're not going to take that and say, like, you're going to deal with the shortcomings in the other areas in regards to satisfaction. See, let me get my words together. In regards to satisfaction, if you're not going to take that approach, then now you got to dissect what is the approach. And not only what is the approach, what are the areas that you're looking to be fulfilled or satisfied in? Where are you looking to be satisfied? That's a question, So like Brother Daniel said, he wished he had abstained from sex before. And that maybe that would have been just more of like he would have able to learn what it was to satisfy somebody without being able to sexually satisfy, without actually, not saying being able to, without actually going through with the act. What'd you say, Royal Nelson? Don't leave someone who fulfills 80% of your needs and seeking the remaining 20%, only to be stuck with 20% of them to go seek the other 80%. Okay. All right. And I get that. That's like he's saying, the grass ain't always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. The grass is greener where you water it. He says, and what's to say, Brother Daniels? He says, sex is not the entire relationship of the and it's not. When you get married, you realize how much sex, it plays a role. I'm not gonna sit here and say it doesn't play a role, because hey, it plays a role, but it's not the only thing, especially in a marriage. It's not. So if this is what your husband is feeling, then maybe he haven't grasped that concept that that's not the only thing that a marriage is all about. Or maybe you have, or he just feels like if he feel like he give you some good vitamin D, maybe you'll be quiet. I don't know. It's a lot of ways to look at it. Sometimes you dick them down, they'll shut up and let you go play video games if that's what you do, or go shoot hoop if that's what you do, or play golf. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes if you give some good D before you leave the house, she ain't worried about you for a few hours, because she's still good. She good. At least that's what we think in our heads. Then there's that male ego, that fragile little thing again. So to tell them opposite of that may shatter it, depending on how you deliver the message. Because you know what I always say? I love this old saying. It's not mine. It's just one I adopted along the way. It's not the delivery. It's not the message. It's the delivery. It's not what you're saying. It's how you're saying it. So first, I need you to understand, if you don't already, you didn't place that in the letter. If you don't already, recognize and understand where the satisfaction meter is being, neglected. Would you say they say the broke and homeless have the best sex? And truth be told, like, my best sex was in my top ramen days. Cause shoot, you know what I mean? Like, you living off of top ramen and refrigerator dollar jug water. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like if you living off those two, your sex game is different. Your abs and core work different. You understand what I'm saying? So the broken homeless do have the best sex. So like a full recap of the letter is, one of my listeners over here asked, he said, before recap of the letter is, this is seeking satisfaction, and she says that her husband, she said they hit a little bit of a tiff lately, right? And what she's saying is there's nothing wrong with sex. She said she's getting good sex, but he thinks that's all he needs to provide. But she says there are other areas in where she's still lacking satisfaction, and she put it in air quotes. So he thinks that sex is weighing so heavily on satisfaction that he doesn't need to worry about anything else. So we've discussed a lot of things. That's a full recap of the letter, brother Thompson. What'd you say? Gone with the wind. My husband thinks sex is the answer from everything, from a toothache to an attitude. And it is. Sometimes we think that. We think that sometimes. We think like, oh, babe, you got a headache? Let me give you some D. You know what I'm saying? Pop this vitamin. What? Oh, we got an attitude? Come on. We'll work it out. Let's work this attitude out. That's what we think in our head. It don't always mean that. You know what I mean? Sometimes y'all go along with it just because, you know what, forget it. I'm going to just think he got something going on. I'm still going to be on his head 30 minutes later after it's over with. Would you say my queen showed her value, worth, and authority? She had my back. The sex grew extra and excellent. Would you say vitamin D and tussin, Dak? Yep. And it's that exactly. It becomes a value to each other. You're right. It does, Brother Daniel. So in her mind, according to this letter, the sex does have some value. But we're talking about what percentage should it have in a relationship, or does it have to have, or is there a certain formula for it? There is no right or wrong answer. You say, how long have they been married? Maybe she is mature in the past stage and he hasn't. That's an excellent question, McFadden, because time does make a difference. Time makes a difference, because all it says is that my husband and I have hit a bit of a snag in our relationship. It doesn't say how long they've been married. It just said how my husband and our relationship. So I wish I had that information as well, as far as like the time involved in it, because it could be a growth thing. It could be a thing where she's grown in a different area and doesn't need to be humped on twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 7 days a week, whatever the instances there are, So when you're married, sometimes it varies. It varies when you're married, dog. So, or maybe he isn't giving it to her all. If he gave it to her more often, then maybe the percentage would go up. That's another question to ask. But is it a growth thing? That's a good way to look at it as well, McFadden. I appreciate that from you. You say 50-50, good sex and good conversation. I'm with you too, Brother Butler, Ray Butler. I'm with you. Sometimes that is a good formula. 50-50, good sex and good conversation. You gotta be able to have good conversation with your person. You know what I mean? That's if you can't talk to your person, they not your person. Like I solely believe in that. You have to be able to feel comfortable enough, if you're calling them that one for you, to open up and talk. You don't have to share your past, or you're not ready to spread, all your information from your past, or if you were in a therapy session. No, but you got to be able to have good conversation, meaning you're listening to what they're talking about. You're taking some of that in. You're remembering things they talked about earlier in the conversation, revamping that. Good conversation is an aphrodisiac. Conversation make the world go round. So good conversation, maybe that's something that's missing from seeking satisfaction. So I see you out there. You still tuned in. I see you still on here. So maybe that's what it is. But at first, like I said, you have to evaluate and identify what it is that you're missing, or where the satisfaction meter is not reaching the point where it needs to go. Would you say, Ray Butler, love language is very important? Yes, love language. You got to know it. I didn't even know what mine was. I didn't even know what my love language was until about 8-9 years ago. I promise I didn't. I had to find out for myself, like, what do I like what makes me feel loved? What is my language? Then I can learn if I know what my own is, then maybe if that's not theirs, I can tap into the other 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how many I have and what make me feel loved, Would you say comfortable? You better put the emphasis on it. You're right. People get comfortable. They get comfortable, baby. That's the that's one of the biggest mistakes, in a relationship. You get comfortable and complacent in what worked yesterday. You got to think about what works for somebody, or not what has worked for them. If you're building and growing every day in a relationship, you got to look forward to the ever-changing, of the guard per se. You got to look forward to the ever-changing attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings, because each day is a whole new monster. Yeah, people are people, and they, we have our tendencies and our ways, but every day those even change a little bit, because if you're not turning a page in your book of life, you kind of stuck on yesterday anyway. So what is it in today that you're needing that's not satisfying you anymore that you got yesterday? So that's one way you can kind of open up and have an honest conversation with him, because it gives him an opportunity to express how he's feeling, or things he may have questions about, or he's wondering what aren't you being satisfied by? Because guys, we pretty simple. If you tell us what we missing, if you give us like instructions, and we can, that's why the honey-do list is so successful. You tell us what you need from us. Don't send us hints and innuendos and go in and all around the world. Nah, man, just be direct. Tell me. You heard the song by Jodeci? By Drew Hill. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. You heard, and they did the whole little hop dance. Tell me. So tell this man what you want. Tell him, what do you need? That's what I want you to feel comfortable going into this conversation with, seeking satisfaction. Feel comfortable at telling him what you want. Because if it's your husband, he know you in ways that others don't. You know him in ways that others don't, or at least others don't or shouldn't on both sides. So dive in with that. Use that as your superpower, the fact that you know a little bit more about him than other people do. And he you. Let him know, reassure him. It isn't about blaming or criticizing him. Let's get that established. It's not about pointing the finger. You know what I say? When you point the finger, you're really talking about me, myself, and I. That's 3 fingers pointing right back at you. So don't go in criticizing and, doing all that. It's about sharing the needs in which that, so you can work on it together to strengthen your relationship. What up, Denver Brigham? 217, stand up. It's about being able to, share the desires that you have that will work in the benefit of your relationship, of building it. Encourage him to share his own feelings and perspectives too. That a lot of times people don't get a chance to actually communicate because we go in hot, one-sided, right? We just want to tell them what we feel and how we're feeling and our perspective. And we don't want to receive or not even we don't receive it. We don't give people the opportunity to express their perspective about the same situation. Because together you can find a balance that satisfies both of your needs. How about that? Together. What'd you say? Tell us in a sentence with a simple subject and a verb with a baby in front of it. That's simple. You right, Royal. All you got to say is, baby, this, that, and the third, blank, skip, dang. That's it. And we be like, okay, cool, check. Would you say, be honest? He would probably be happy to oblige. And that's the thing. That's the thing. And you right, McFadden. If you tell him that he can take some emphasis off the vitamin D, man, that'll take so much weight off his back. Like, man, I ain't got to go. Sometimes I can just do the dishes. And I can go shoot pool for 4 hours. You know what I mean? I ain't got to go in there. I may be tired from the gym. And I may not have the, the energy to be giving out vitamin D. So if he can find another way to satisfy you, man, I better be all ears. So ask him, find out why he thinks that, Or don't ask him, why you think that just dicking me down is satisfied? Don't ask him in that way. Find out what weight he puts on it. He may not even put that much weight on it. He may only put that much, drive into doing anything that satisfies you. I'm not privy to all of those, nuances of your relationship. But in the event that is something else that's not there, because that's why you wrote us a letter, then you got to figure out for him what those things are. And like Royal Nelson said, tell him with a simple sentence with a subject and a verb and a baby in front of that thing. It's simple. Be like, babe, baby, boo-bee, boo-boo, whatever you call your dude, whatever you call your husband, big head, whatever you call him. Put the term of endearment in front of the question. Make sure he's feeling all lovey-loved before you ask him about how he's really feeling. Because he's able to tell you out of love more than he would be out of, angst or feeling attacked. So put that softness on the front of it. Because again, what I tell y'all, we dealing with that very delicate Fabergé egg ego of a male. Exactly. You're right, McFadden. And see, it's coming from a woman. She said that will let him know that that's not an attack. Exactly. If you soften the blow with sugar, then you're not coming in. If you come in with an offering, like, right, I bought biscuits. Let's sit down and have a conversation, so I'm not attacking you. I'm bringing biscuits. I come in peace. That's all of those wrapped up in a term of endearment before you even ask the question or make the statement or, figure things out with each other. It's not that hard. It's not about what you say or what you have to say. It's about how you're delivering the message to the person whom you want to receive it in a way that it will change what's going on right now. What's up, Corey Chronicles? You say biscuits and honey too? Yeah, babe, you got to bring honey too. You right, booby. Yeah, I'll bring honey too. Well, you bring the honey. What'd you say, Anwan? It depends on the person. Everyone has a love language. So if the person's love language is physical touch, then that partner should know and learn the specifics and then exchange. That's it. Exactly. That goes back to sort of like what Royal Nelson was saying. He was talking about how, meet in the middle where these things aren't meshing. Find a way to kind of, accept where he's excelling on the other parts. Because again, he might, like Anwan just said, that may be his love language. He may feel more loved when he's having sex. So that's why you want to go at this and allow his perspectives to be received as well when you're going into this conversation seeking satisfaction. What'd you say, Dakar? You say unless she wants more vitamin E, emotional shit, keep the dialogue simple. Oh, man, you can find your emotional side in conversations because you're open. Got to be open in conversation. That means you letting them get all their vitamin E out, their vitamin emotion out, because you going to get your vitamin P, your vitamin practicality out, thinking that everything we say as guys is like, well, as simple as this, da-da-da. That's how we move. That's how we rock as dudes. That's our genetic makeup. Women will be more emotional. They're a lot more, that estrogen is a form of it. It's a blood-borne emotion. Where testosterone is a blood-borne, like, I'm tough, and a blockage. So we're built with certain things, so that's going to make us receive and deliver them differently. But if you're with somebody and you call them your person, your job is to find out what that love language is or what that person is, deficient in, and if you're willing to deal with that deficiency. Because apparently he's not deficient in the vitamin D department because he's giving it to her, it's good, and it's on a regular. But she said that still leaves her yearning something else other than this good D. That is the question. What is it? So that's my mission I gave to seeking satisfaction. I said, first you must find out, Miss Lady, what is it that will allow this satisfaction meter to be somewhere near the middle of where your happiness is or all the way overwhelming? Because right now it seems like it's below 500. You're trying to get it 501 to 1,000. So where you're at least your satisfaction is on the up and up. So what is it that's got it deficient? Let's identify that for you. Not let's. That's what you need to identify for yourself. And then approach him with these things. You have to have something ready to write down for a man, or something that's in words, or right, because we're not going to remember the emotional attachment to a conversation. I'm sorry. It's just, some of us will, some of us do remember some of it. But for the most part, you need to be ready to have something that either you're going to drill into his head to where he's going to remember it, or, not drill sergeant meaning, but you can repeat it a few times to where he can't help but remember what it is, or it'll cause him to repeat it back. And so now it's stuck in his memory. Unless you're doing those things, sometimes you want to be able to have something to write down. Would you say he better listen because the work husband is all ears and he brings biscuits with honey? Shut up. You're right. He better listen. He better listen. Because them work husbands is out there lurking. Y'all better listen. And Royal Nelson always talking about these work husbands. You must be somebody's work husband, dog. I ain't gonna bust you out if you are. You know me, Pop. I got you, dog. You know what I mean? He said, because the work husband bringing biscuits and honey. They better not be. Exactly, because they spend time with them every day. So these are the ones that are going to give you that. They're going to be able to soak up all of how she feels, because they don't have the luxury of being able to block it out, because they can intimately touch on her, and they all live together. And so sometimes when you with somebody every day, it's like, like at home, you kind of want to just be together and not talk sometimes. But that's okay at times. But then you got to also, on an adverse side of that, have their times where you got to be willing to dive in and damn near beanbag chill and converse around the campfire talking. You got to be able to find out what the work husband know besides what he know about you. His vitamin E hinders the vitamin D. And right, you're right about that, Brigham. You're right about that. And that's what we talked about. Like, that's what Mika Gone with the Wind Fabulous said earlier. Like, if she's not mentally there, if her vitamin E ain't up, the vitamin D ain't as good to her. And like you said there, Brigham, you said his vitamin E, or lack thereof, is hindering his vitamin D and its effectiveness. That's the thing, the effectiveness of the vitamin D as far as the, producing numbers on the satisfaction meter, right? The work husband reigns supreme. You're right. What'd you say, Icarice? Wouldn't it just be more ideal for men to simply be more emotionally vested? Feel y'all feelings so we don't have to help y'all over and over again. Over and over again. Over and over again. That's like asking, wouldn't it help for women to be more practical all the time? It's not genetically in us. Y'all are going to think with emotions first and foremost. Us as men, that's probably the last thing on the list of how we're going to think about it. It's not in the card. That's the test of time. It just doesn't work that way. You get some that get it finally or eventually, then get it to you sometimes, but there are still, even those percentages are low. We can be more emotionally vested, and we do get more emotionally vested if you write that on the list as what you need. You may have to talk about these things first. And if you say that you don't want to have to do it over and over again, you hate repeating yourself, as far as in regards to this, then express that in the first conversation about how you would appreciate if, how it would work a whole lot greater in your favor as his woman or his significant other. I can't just say his woman because people date all kind of people. That it would be, if he were more emotionally vested, that would go a long way in helping him helping you feel better. You said we come down to your unemotional levels often, which is why we have had to repeat ourselves over and over. We adapt, y'all don't. This is true. But again, y'all built to adapt. Y'all bodies are built to adapt, which means your genetics are meant to adapt naturally You adapt every 28 days. Y'all are constantly changing on a regular basis, so y'all have to adapt. We the same. We don't know we changing until y'all adapting and changing and making us go to the doctor. Y'all are constantly adapting and changing. You know? You say Mars and Venus, find 7 words to tell us what you would normally tell us in 7 hours. That's it. Give me a sentence or two and not drag out every emotional feeling attached to it. That's the thing as a guy. You know, seeking satisfaction, that's something that you may want to go into it feeling and understanding. What's going on, Quinn Morris? Q Mecca in the building. You know what I mean? That's one of our other personalities on the radio over here. Where's Suge at? Get y'all on. I'm going to have y'all come sit in the studio with me. I had a good time out there commentating with y'all at that game. What'd you say, Lucy Lowe? So be nice to us and listen. And that's the thing. We do listen. But sometimes it takes repeating. And we know y'all hate that. I know y'all do. Most men know y'all do. We know y'all hate repeating yourselves. But sometimes it just, I don't know why. I'm not here to tell everybody what to do. I'm just tell you what can be done. Repeat it. You say, do you? All my ladies on my head now. Yes, we do listen. And sometimes it's eventually. You know, it has to be repeated. Or we more of like a hands-on read the directions type thing, right? So, write it down. You say, would you say we as men must would hear how to tap into our feminine emotional and dealing with our mates relationships. It helps in sustainability, in your opinion. And that's the truth. It does help in sustainability when you're able to dissect and tap into our feminine side of things, our feminine energy. Because we all have, like women have masculine energy, we have feminine energy. So sometimes if you sit down and converse with us and you talk to us, at certain times, we do tap into that. Once we're listening and we're on board with you, then now we've got that feminine energy on. We've got some of that exuding out of us because now we're tuned in and tapped in and we're listening to what you're saying. That's what's up. We're going to talk about it. Would you say the work husband only listens because he's on the clock and he getting paid to listen? The work husband getting paid to listen. So that's another thing. He ain't doing nothing but listening. And what Ray Butler said, ladies, we try, and we do try. For those we care about, we must master our own for better responses. And that's a good thing. I've learned to, when I'm in a conversation and when I'm actively communicating with my wife, I'll still admit there's times when I fall short and I'll be like, and I'm not listening all the way at times. But when I'm actively communicating with her, I'm able to really tap into what we're talking about. And that's one of the things I had to learn was part of her love languages. Like, what's that one you said, babe? Write it down. I forgot what they were. But one of them dealt with being able to communicate and being able to talk and being heard and stuff like that. So as long as you allow them to feel heard and long as he feels heard, then I think everybody's like a win-win in that situation. You say slap. I know I forgot, babe. Stop it. Would you say Ray Butler fat? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you have to actively want to, as a man, you have to actively want to listen to the woman in order to be able to tap into that side of what she's trying to give you. Listening is an art, and everybody's not a skilled artist like that. But those who do know how to listen, what I mean by listen, like not just hear them, listen to them and be able to recall things that they say are their favorite or, like one of the things my wife be pissed off if she say I don't be listening, like she'll tell me something that she wants, like if it's a holiday coming up or if her birthday's coming up, she'll tell me months in advance. Like, and I hear her, but I still come back and ask, babe, what'd you say you wanted? And she be like, that irks the hell out of her. But on other things, like I listen to other kind of stuff and she be like, oh, babe, you already did that for me. Yeah, I was listening. that you needed this, that, and the third. But sometimes when there's other parts like gifts and stuff like that, I ain't really listening. You know, what's up, Antonio Taylor? You know what I'm saying? I ain't really listening at times, you know? But most of the time I am tuned in and kind of listening to what she got to say. So that's one of the things I've learned over the years. I ain't always had that. What'd you say? You say, I need to be listening up for birthday instructions. I do. I need to turn on my birthday. Your birthday coming up in a couple months, babe. I need to have my ears turned on to what what you want. What you want? Tell me. Write it down. What's up, Maureen? Good to see you on here. Yeah, tell me what you want, babe. But yeah, so that's what we got to be able to understand. We have to be able to understand that it's not about blaming anybody for our shortcomings as far as, you know, emotional attachment or things like that. It's about finding out how to come together like armpits and really dissect everything in the relationship to where we can work towards our common goals. You know, and that deals with listening. That deals with responding. That deals with being able to recall things that they may have said before that hold weight and make a difference in how they feel in the relationship. So, seeking satisfaction, I hope this helped you navigate, you know, through your waters of a relationship. And remember, you deserve to feel fulfilled in every aspect of the relationship. So in your partnership, you need to feel fulfilled. So don't be afraid to really, really, really seek that fulfillment. And what I mean by that is, you know, talk to your man. Like what you say, Denver Brigham, yeah, effective communicating for growth is key. That is true. What's up, Ms. Contreras? You know, effective communicating for growth is for a purpose. You know, like they always, like we were talking about earlier, the grass is greener where you water it. So don't think that you trying to go and find other answers elsewhere as far as satisfaction, that if you take away from where he feels he's being satisfied with you. What's up, Mike Edwards? If he feels if he's doing his satisfaction, then talk about where it is that you yearn for more. See, by using words like more, that lets him know that it's satisfaction there, but there are other areas where you can be satisfied other than the bedroom. You know, so big ups to your husband for giving you that good vitamin D. So, you know, let that keep happening for you. You know, because there's some people online that's probably like, well, she getting good D. Why is she complaining? You know, but at the same time, they may not be being fulfilled in other areas either, and they may not even know it. So, again, if anytime y'all want to tap in and tune in to Holla at the Homie, you got a question for me, send me an email at hollaatthehomie@gmail.com. That's HOLLAATTHAHOMIE. So at gmail.com. So send me those letters, or anytime y'all want to holler at us, you know, you can always call us up at 702-551-5261, and we can get you on air with us. I hope y'all had a good time today with us. As always, I've been 360 the Poet, the homie coming in here, helping you out, talking with that good advice. Until next time, y'all keep spreading love, and I'm going to holler at y'all in a minute.